Theft by staff can be an uncomfortable subject, but it's one that we engage in to help develop workflows which give oversight to help with prevention and possibly limit the extent of theft. As we can see in this video, it can be hard to determine what is happening and how it happens to be or not be a scenario where theft is occurring. How do we then use our tools for oversight? We know that we have to enable opening a cash drawer, voiding items, deleting them from sales, but we know this also can result in theft. Let's start with basic tracking. At the standard level, our system has a rudimentary alert tool. It stores both event logs and can email deletions, voids, cash drawer opens, and other exceptions that occur on their own. We'll start by adding an item, then deleting it, and showing you what it looks like in an email. And at a rudimentary level, we can have notifications. Here we just received a ding, and we can get this into our email that an item was deleted. This kind of notification also goes into our messaging service. For convenience, I'm just going to pull up the browser and we'll go to contacts, we'll go to messaging, and we can see that this item here was just deleted. This is the item. So our messaging service keeps track of the types and the methods that were performed. It sends the email out and keeps track of that. Back at the point of sale, and while we can add an item and then open the drawer, whenever you use the drawer feature, it locks all the items. So this prints them out. The item can't be deleted anymore, and we get a notification. So here we see the drawer open notification, and it tells us details about that feature. And once again, that goes into our messaging service, and so we see this open drawer. Now in this case, the system figured together two activities here that triggered a suspicious activity alert. And it includes a link which takes you to the transaction that it occurred on. So now we're beginning to see a secondary feature which combines multiple transactions and multiple behaviors to alert the management that suspicious activity is being done on the system. So let's go ahead and trigger that suspicious activity again. We'll void this out. Now, when you void the last item on a transaction, or you delete the last item on a transaction, and then you open the cash drawer, you will get a warning. So here I just triggered the open drawer after having voided, and this is what your email will end up looking like. So we get a void when we get a suspicious activity which happens to pop up before the drawer opened. But that's because these two things happen at the same time. Now, when this kind of behavior is tracked, we don't need to track all of the deletes or all of the voids. We only need to track the ones that set the order to essentially empty. So set the order so that there's no more items on the transaction, such that it's $0 with voids, or that there are no items on the order, such that it's 0 items with all the deletes being performed. So if we hit refresh again from our browser here, we see these activities occur, and we see them in our messaging service. The messaging service, by the way, keeps track of other types of behaviors, like all the fire items, transactions that you are doing with online orders, order communication. So the messaging service has a lot of other features, but right now we're just covering the deletes, the voids, the suspicious activities. And to be clear here, we can just click on review. And that's one reason why I'm opening the browser here. It gives us a little bit more options. It allows us to move between these tabs here. So if I click on review, it takes us to the actual transaction where the void occurred in another tab. And then if you just wanted to look at the staff tracking here, you can choose that, and it's going to choose the type staff tracking from this type column here. So we have the options to see different types of transactions that are occurring here in our message log. And then our final piece to note that in POS, under closed day reporting, the suspicious activities are listed at the top and they can be reviewed prior to anything else that you do closing the day. So at any point you can go in to your messaging, you can look up your suspicious, your staff tracking. You can review these. Once you've reviewed them and completed what you want to do with them, you can then archive it and you don't have to concern yourself with these anymore. They will stay in your system, but you will know that you have addressed those particular issues. And if you're so inclined and you want to do some analysis, maybe using some AI tools to run patterns and other checks that you want, you can also export out the information from the SQL Server database, as you will have access to your own SQL Server database.